By this time in his career, Russell Johnson was getting a lot of females and a lot of young kids interested in his acting style. A very handsome guy, a very, personable young actor. He eventually ended up in Gilligan's Island as the professor. But in this episode of Twilight Zone back there, he made it plausible that this could happen. Basically, he goes back in time because he wants to change the past, or he has a theory about changing the past and almost stops Lincoln's assassination. Now, this is called Back There. It's episode 49 of Twilight Zone. Season 2, episode 13, aired on January 13, 1961. It was written by series creator Rod Serling and directed by the underrated David Ulrich McDermott. It involves time travel and stars Russell Johnson again, who had appeared in another time travel episode the previous season involving Albert Salmi about a body transformation from a hanging gallows. In this one, Serling's opening oration, witness a theoretical argument. Washington, D.C. to present. Four intelligent men talking about a probable thing like going back in time. A friendly debate revolving around a simple issue. Could a human being change what has happened before? Interesting and theoretical, because whoever heard of a man going back in time, before tonight that is, because this is the Twilight Zone. Now, it's 1961. In April, this is actually a few months in the future from the episode. Young engineer Peter Corrigan is involved in discussion with colleagues at the elite Thematic Club on the question of time travel. After bumping into William, a familiar attendant, on the way out, Peter feels faint. Confused by the gas lamps and horse-drawn carriages on the street, he notices that he's wearing clothes of a much older style and walks home. He finds that his home is now a boarding house. In discussion with the strangers he meets there, he discovers that he's been transported back in time to April 14th, 1865, the date of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by the villain John Wilkes Booth. When the Corrigan rushes off to Ford's Theater to warn everyone but is arrested for disturbing the peace, only one officer believes him, but is overruled by his superior. After he's been held at a police station a short time, a man who states he's a doctor with expertise in mental illness arrives. He introduces himself as Jonathan Wellington and persuades the police to release Corrigan into his custody. Wellington subsequently drugs Corrigan before leaving and locking the door. Wellington is later identified by the landlady as John Wilkes Booth, which is confirmed by a handkerchief he left behind with the initials JWB. Meanwhile, outside, the news is spreading that the president has been shot. Now, Corrigan pounds his fist on a window, still angry that no one listened to him, and finds he's back in 1961 at the Potomac Club. He seems the same, but is no longer an attendant named William. Back at the table with his colleagues, he finds that the scholarly discussion has moved from time travel to money, and William is also at the table participating. William says his money was inherited from his great-grandfather, a policeman who had made a name for himself by predicting the assassination of Lincoln, becoming chief of police, then a councilman, and eventually becoming a millionaire through real estate. Corrigan's disbelief is amplified further by the JWB handkerchief he had placed in his pocket. He in fact changed the past, but not in the way he had intended. The closing narration, of course, Mr. Peter Corrigan lately returned from a place back there, a journey into time with highly questionable results, proving on one hand that the threads of history are woven tightly and the skein of events cannot be undone. But on the other hand, there are small fragments of tapestry that can be altered. Tonight's thesis to be taken as you will in the Twilight Zone. Now, ironically, with this episode, what stands out for me, the music by Jerry Goldsmith, a great person, is kind of mimicked in the Night Gallery episodes just a decade later that Rod Serling and Jack Laird had put together. Now, why this really works for me is not only because Russell Johnson is totally believable as a potential hero, he has a skepticism of a smart person. Maybe he doesn't believe everything is going to be exactly as he expected. Now, could it be a dream or could it be reality? And that's what's great about Twilight Zone. You have to gauge what's going on to make sure everything is as expected. Like I said, but Russell Johnson, again, his career was quite diverse. He also was a big star in something called Black Saddle in 1960. Now, the native Ashley, Pennsylvania, was known again for This Island Earth, Rescue from Gilligan's Island, The Castaways of Gilligan's Island, and the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island. Now, He was an Air Force's veteran. He was an aviation cadet. On completing his training, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant. He flew 44 combat missions in the Pacific Theater during World War II as a bombardier in the B-25 twin-engine medium bombers. Now, he was shot down on March 4th, 1945 during a low-level bombing and strafing run against Japanese military targets in the Philippines. Now, the B-25s he was on encountered heavy anti-aircraft fire, and all three had to ditch the sea off Zamboanga. Johnson broke both his ankles at a landing, and his bomber co-pilot was killed. Johnson did receive a Purple Heart for his injuries. He was also awarded the Air Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal with 3 campaign stars, the Philippine Liberation Ribbon and 1 campaign star, and a World War II Victory Medal. Now, Johnson, again, you would see him on the screen, and he was totally believable in anything he did. And like I said, that's why the Twilight Zone episode worked. And he also did episode of The Outer Limits in a Specimen Unknown, a very underrated episode as well. So he was kind of the king of time travel for TV. But filmography, again, some interesting movies, including It Came In From Outer Space, Stan and Apache River, Son of Cochise, Johnny Dark, Black Tuesday, Many Rivers to Cross, and again, The Greatest Story Ever Told as well. He was also on The Invaders for episode 6 of season 2, Gunsmoke, Wonder Woman, and MacGyver. But like I said, mostly well known again for his episodes of the Twilight Zone. So it's the 2 episodes were quite strong. He was in, and of course he was in Steve Canyon for a little while, Gilligan's Island for 3 years, and again the sequels later on. So Russell Johnson makes this work. Now, what Rod Serling was trying to do in here, he was basically saying, okay, this is a weird premise. If you can understand that Russell Johnson seems to be a logical person who believes in things that are speculative when the time travel occurs. And there was some theory that if you think it, you can do it in relation to time travel. For example, you look at, there's been episodes through the years that look at the speculation of people could go back in time and kill Hitler or different political leaders. What type of ripples would this do? So it's a ripple in time effect, like City on the Edge of Forever. Star Trek talked about that later on. But this, again, it's a 4-star episode. It's very, very effective. And like I said, the music makes it work. But like I said, I really think this was more Night Gallery than Twilight Zone. And you might as well say it's one of the first episodes of Night Gallery, even though it wasn't Night Gallery. And Rod Serling did a good job on this one. And the direction by our young gentleman is pretty strong. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the story of the great Twilight Zone episode back there. If you like what you're doing here, we're a Twilight Zone podcast. Let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.